Okay, so now we are moving forward to lab number 6. In this lab, we actually have some files which we are going to use actually. So this is a lab which is focusing on implementing network traffic management. And first thing is we have to just download those lab files. In your case, guys, when you're dealing with this, you can use the lab files which are provided in the GitHub repository link, which I'm sharing with you in this particular video description. So just make sure you're going to take a file from that. I clicked on the button and I think it is showing me that the files are downloaded in F drive. So if I go to my lab environment, inside the F drive of this PC, the files will be there. So this is actually that all files kind of a folder which I'm going to use when I do the lab part. Right now, let's move forward with the lab by just logging into our portal.azure.com first. So I'll go to portal.azure.com. We'll log in with the lab user, password, and we are all good. We are inside the Azure subscription. Now let's move forward to the lab steps. This lab is going to take approximately 50 minutes. We are fine with that. We always take less than that actually. And basically we are going to focus on 3 tasks. First, we are going to use a template to provision an infrastructure. Basically ARM template is what we are going to use. Then we have configured an Azure load balancer, and then we are going to configure Azure application gateway. Obviously these are the 2 important tools for network traffic management. Let's get started with that. First thing first, we have downloaded the files which is part of the lab 6. So we already have that thing, so that's perfectly fine. We already logged into portal.azure.com. It's the time we have to just search for deploy a custom template. As I said, deploy a custom template is going to allow you to load a custom ARM template associated with this. Let's just try that. We are going to click on build your own template in the editor so that we can upload our own template. And then we are going to click on load file. And I'm going to choose a file from my computer, F drive, all files, labs, lab number 6, and then we are going to choose template.json. This is what they are showing me in the steps. I'll click on open. This is loaded here. I'm going to click on save. And then we are going to focus on edit parameter part. So let's click on edit parameter, load file, parameters.json, save. So this is actually going to load those parameters values also. We just did both the configurations. Now they are showing me here in the right side instructions that use the following information to complete all the fields of that, in which we just have our subscription and resource group selection which we have to do. Also, when we are dealing with this, we have to provide some particular admin password. I'm going to provide my admin password and I think it looks fine. Then we are going to click on review plus create. Validation will pass and we'll click on create. Now while this deployment is going on, actually this deployment is going to take approximately 5 minutes. In this duration, let's go back to that folder structure, labs, lab number 6, and let's have a look at this, that what exactly this template is deploying. So I'm going to open this thing in Visual Studio Code to check what kind of resources this template is actually going to deploy. Now you can see right now it is showing me that it is trying to create virtual machine 0, virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2. So it's actually trying to create multiple virtual machines in this. With that, it is also trying to create a virtual network with some network interface card. And with after this, they are actually showing me that network security group and other things are also going to be created. This is a very lengthy template. Actually, if we try to do the manual deployment, it will take a lot of time. That's the reason we are using template. It has almost 500 lines inside this. And all these lines are actually going to do what? Is actually going to create multiple virtual machines, basically 3 virtual machines inside one virtual network. And that's exactly what which is going to happen. Now, if I go back to my browser, the deployment is in progress. But while this is happening, we are deploying everything inside this AZ-104 RG6. So if I separately go into that, I'll go to the resource group section. I'll go to AZ-104 RG6. And then have a look at this. We have the VM0, we have 1, VM2, network interface card, network security group. So all those resources are actually getting provisioned here. Let's just wait for this deployment to complete, and then we will move forward to task number 2, where we are actually going to manage traffic with the help of load balancers and application gateway. Okay, now deployment is completed. As you can see here, it's showing me my deployment is complete. And if I go to the other resource group, it's actually going to have all the resources created inside that. With this, let's move forward to task number 2, in which we are going to configure Azure Load Balancer. logically, this load balancer is going to help me to distribute traffic across two different virtual machines in the same virtual network, which we have already. Hey guys, sorry for interruption. My name is Maruti and I'm here to make a very important announcement. I hope you are liking our videos and you're doing a continuous learning with us on an Azure Cloud and AI related topics. If you are enjoying this thing, I'm going to announce SkillTech.club, which is our upcoming website, which is going to be launched very soon. We are here to tell you one thing, that everyone who is a subscriber of this particular channel will get Azure Cloud and Azure AI related certification courses free of cost in SkillTech.club. So you will be a part of the SkillTech.club kind of a membership automatically free of cost. And everyone who's a subscriber of this particular channel will get those benefits which are available in that. So what are you waiting for? I request you to please subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends and families if they are also interested in Azure Cloud and AI learning. That's it from my side. Now you can carry on with your learning. Thank you. We are going to focus on our task number 1 now. So let's search for load balancers. We'll discuss about the configuration of load balancers which we have to do inside that. So let's start creating a load balancer. While creating a load balancer, you have to configure backend pool, some kind of inbound and outbound rules associations with that, and the front-end IP configuration. This is all we have to do right now. I'm going to choose my same resource group. The load balancer name we are giving AZ-104 LB. Same region as the virtual machine, which is East US. SKU we are going to choose standard. Type is going to be public. I want to make sure that it's going to have a public IP associated with that. And the tier is going to be regional. We do not want global load balancer as of now. When we click next, it is actually showing me front-end IP configuration, which is available here. And the front-end IP configuration is actually here. Now let me just click on add a front-end IP configuration. I'll choose the name, which is, this is my front-end IP. It's going to be an IP type is going to be IP address, which is perfectly fine. Gateway load balancer, we do not want anything in that, so it's going to be none. I'm going to choose here, select your public IP address, in which we are going to click on create new, and we'll choose the name, which is, this is AZ-104 load balancer public IP, and the other configurations are fine. Standard, regional, which is perfectly fine. Is it going to be zone redundant or Microsoft network? I think all the things are fine. We are just going to click on save, and then we'll click on save again. When we do this, our front-end IP configuration is actually successfully done. Let's move to the backend pool now, in which we have to choose which virtual machines are connected with this. I'm going to add a new backend pool with the meaningful name. So let me just click on name. Virtual network is the only virtual network which we have right now. So we'll select that virtual network, and we have to add our virtual machine. So I'm going to click on add. My out of 3, 2 virtual machines are going to be added in this. So we have this virtual machines which are available here. You can see 3 virtual machines are there. As per the instructions, we have to select VM0 and VM1. So I'm going to select VM0, VM1, and these 2 virtual machines will be load balanced using this. I'm going to click on save for the backend pool. We do not want to configure any inbound pools or outbound rules right now, so we'll just click on review plus create, and we'll click on create. Let's hope the validation is passed. Yes. We'll click on create. Now wait for the load balancer to deploy, and then we'll click on go to resource. Let's just wait for this to be done. Okay, the deployment is completed now. Let's click on go to resource. As you can see, the load balancer is successfully provisioned. In the left side section where we have settings, we are going to have the backend pool front-end IP configuration which we have done. Right now, let's go to load balancing rule so that we can configure the load balancing rule properly for this. We'll click on add. We'll add a new load balancing rule with this name. The front-end IP address is going to be the one which we configured, and same for the backend pool which we configured. The port on which we want to associate this is going to be 80. Backend port we can change, but we are still keeping the same, so it's going to be also 80. The ideal timeout for this we can configure here, but before that let's focus on the health probe. Health probe is going to be a mechanism which is going to continuously check the health of the particular probe with the specific interval. So whether the virtual machines are healthy or not before diverting the traffic to that is what it is going to check. We're going to provide a name, and the port is going to be 80 obviously. Interval is going to be every 5 seconds is going to check, which is perfectly fine. So we are okay with this health probe. In the session persistence, we do not want to give anything, so I think none is perfectly fine. Ideal timeout is going to be 4. TCP and all these things we are going to disable, and this is recommended, which is outbound source address translation. So network address translation is going to be there. All these things are fine, and we are going to click on save. The load balancer is successfully saved. You can see right now it's showing me that successfully load balancer rule is actually configured. If that is the case, we will click on front-end IP configuration, and we want to take the front-end IP from this. Remember, this is going to be a public IP address, so it's going to be publicly accessible. This is my public IP address. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it into a separate browser tab to check whether my load balancer is working or not. In the separate browser tab, I'm just going to hit the public IP. When I hit enter, it is going to show me hello world from the first virtual machine. And if I refresh it maybe a couple of times, or if I just try to open this thing in the incognito mode, maybe sometimes I'm going to get VM0 also. So VM0 and VM1 is what we have configured with this. If we're getting a response from VM1 right now, if I try in the separate incognito mode, it's actually going to give me a response from VM0 as well. Okay, so let me just refresh it a couple of times. Or let me try a new private browser also, and I'm going to paste it here. Continue to the site, and you can see we are getting it from VM0. This means that my load balancer is working fine. It's actually allowing me to distribute traffic across both the virtual machines, which is perfectly fine. And this means that we'll move to task number 3, which is configuring application gateway. Remember guys, load balancer and application gateway more or less are based on the same kind of a configuration. The difference is load balancer is working on layer 4 load balancing. That's why we have configured TCP when we wanted to do this. While on the other hand, Azure Application Gateway is actually layer 7 load balancer, which is mentioned here. So this is perfect for web applications. It's also going to associate with web application firewall, SSL termination kind of features inside that, and end-to-end encryption is also available with this. Now that's the reason application gateway is perfect for most of the application scenarios. In this case, we are going to do a load balancing between virtual machine number 1 and virtual machine number 2 using application gateway. So let's get started with this. Again, I'm going to search for virtual network first. I want to go to my virtual network. This is my virtual network VNet 1. Inside the VNet 1, I have to create one new subnet. So I'm going to create a new subnet for my application gateway, because in order to provision application gateway, we will need that subnet. By default, we have 3 subnets here. I'm going to create a new subnet. We'll give the name of the subnet app GW. I'm going to specify a specific IP address range for this particular one. So it's going to be 10.60.3.224. And when we do this thing, this is something which is going to be my subnet range. Starting address is perfectly fine, and slash, we do not need to choose 24, we need to choose 27. So we just need 32 addresses inside that, which is perfectly matching with the range. We'll click on add. Once this subnet is configured, using the subnet, we can actually configure application gateway inside this. So you can see successfully subnet is added. Let's search for application gateway. We do not have any application gateway as of now. We'll create a new one. In the configuration of application gateway, we'll choose same resource group. We'll give some meaningful name to that. The region is going to be same as the first one, so it's going to be East US only. Standard V2 is perfectly fine. Auto scaling we do not want to enable right now, so we are just going to choose no in this case. And the maximum instance count which are available here, we are going to set up 2 for this. In the availability zones, we can choose the default availability zone 1 only. So zone 2, zone 3 we do not want. Zone 1 is perfectly fine, which is by default. And then HTTP 2 is something which is going to be disabled. So I do not want to enable HTTP 2 right now. That is also one configuration which we are doing. We have to choose our virtual network, and based on the virtual network we have to choose our application gateway subnet which we have created. It's coming here. We're all good with this. Let's click on next to front end. In the front end section, I'm going to configure my public IP addresses with this. You can see that it's showing me that in the public IP address I have one public IP address, but this was actually an IP address of load balancer, so I should not use that. I'm going to create a new public IP address with the name gateway public IP. The availability zone is going to be 1 for this. We'll click on OK, and then we'll click on next. Same like load balancer, here also we have backend, so we have to configure a backend pool for this. Let's add a backend pool. The name of this is going to be my gateway backend. In the backend pool configuration, we are going to specify virtual machines, and we are going to choose our virtual machines, which is going to be VM1 and VM2. So I'm actually choosing NIC of both the virtual machines inside this. I'm going to click on add. You can see 2 targets are nothing but 2 NICs which we have added, which means that my backend pool is successfully configured with this. Now we are going to add one more backend pool, which is actually going to be a backend pool for images. So we are going to create another backend pool, and the images backend pool is actually going to be provided by one particular virtual machine. So in this case, we are going to choose only NIC1. So this is something which is my virtual machine which I'm choosing here, and this is something which is only for my image backend pool. Once image backend pool is done, I'm going to add one more backend pool, and this is going to be my video backend pool. For the video backend pool, we are going to choose virtual machine which is going to be NIC2. So remember, we can configure multiple backend pools here. This one is having 2 targets, this one is having one target inside that. And once all these things are done, actually, let's go to the next part, and in the configuration we are going to add a routing rule associations with that. I'm adding a routing rule. The rule name is going to be AZ-104 gateway rule 1. So this is my rule. Priority, I'm going to set up 10. The username is something which is basically the listener name which is there. So I'm going to specify AZ-104 listener. It's going to be public IP, v4 address, HTTP 80, everything is fine. In the configuration of this, we have to choose backend targets also. In the backend targets, we are going to configure that we are going to add our app gateway backend pool, and then it's actually going to have a backend settings where we are going to specify create new kind of a backend settings with that. So let's add a new backend setting. The name of this is going to be HTTP based backend setting, which is perfectly fine. All of the configuration we am keeping it by default only, so I'm just going to click on add, and I think this is perfectly fine. It's going to configure this thing. I'm going to add a routing rule, and you can see that my routing rule is actually configured here. Now exactly after this, we have to do one more setting, which is path-based routing, which is there. You can see in the path-based routing there is an option which is mentioned here in the step number 14, that we have to add multiple targets to create a path-based rule. We are going to add this thing, we are going to configure this thing. So I'm going to specify the rule. In the path, we are going to specify that if the path is showing /image kind of a thing, the target name is going to be images, and in that kind of case we are going to associate with our AZ-104 HTTP, and we are going to associate with our image backend. Same way, once this is done, we have to add a configuration for video also. So I'm going to specify /video. This is going to be target name is going to be videos, HTTP, and videos backend pool. So this is a path-based routing which we have configured inside this. Once we are done with this, we'll click on add. We'll click on next, which is tags, and then we are going to click on review plus create. Hopefully the configuration of this application gateway is perfectly done with the multiple backend pool. That deployment is going to take approximately 5 to 10 minutes. So the moment deployment is started, I'm just going to pause this video for some time, and then once it is done, we'll check how it is actually working. Yes, we are submitting the deployment, and I believe the deployment is actually started successfully. Okay, as you can see now, the deployment is completed. I'm going to click on go to resource, and then inside this resource group, we are going to go for our AZ-104 application gateway. This application gateway is configured with whatever configuration we have done inside this. Let's just go to the monitoring section first. So we are going to go into monitoring. We will go into backend health. Now we have to make sure that this is actually going to show us that our backend pool is going to be healthy. Let's just wait for this. It's going to take some time to load this. Yeah, you can see right now it's showing me healthy. 4 out of 4 configuration is done. So all the backend pools are perfectly working fine. Step number 19 is done. Now let's go to the overview part, and then we're going to take the front-end IP address. So I'm going to overview part. This is having a front-end IP address which is showing me dash here, but yeah, we are going to take front-end public IP address actually. So this is available here. We'll copy, and then in the separate tab we actually have to provide that public IP address. With the public IP address, if I just put /image/ and then if I hit enter, you can see right now it's going to image server, which is VM1. If I provide video instead of image, if I provide video, and if I hit enter, it's taking to VM2, which is my video server, which is perfectly fine. And we can verify that we are directed to video server, which is VM2, which is there. Now obviously if I provide only IP address and if I hit enter, basically in this case it's just going to show me hello world, because that's what which is mentioned inside that. All the backend pools are healthy, all the backend pools are working fine, and that means that my application gateway configuration is also working fine. With this, it's the end of this particular lab. The last thing which I have to do is I have to clean up my resources. I'll do that, but in your case you can move forward to the next module. Happy learning.